I'm gonna. Okay, Madam Chair, we are about 15 seconds away, and Paul will count us in. Five, four, three, two, one.
And we are live. Good afternoon, everybody. I call this
recording in progress.
This meeting is being recorded. I call this August 24, 2021 virtual special administrative meeting of the Bernalillo County Commissioners to order. And we will have a moment of silence followed by the Pledge of Allegiance led by Commissioner Barboa.
I pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. And before we continue, I just want to give some shout outs to some people and give some really very heartfelt thanks to people. First of all, thank you to all the people who applied. I love your passion and your desire for public service, and I thank you so much for stepping up. Next, I'd like to thank our commission assistants because we have gotten over 600 emails. I don't know how many phone calls, and our assistants have been amazing in keeping track of those. And I know my amazing assistant, Joe Noriega, has tallied every single communication that we've gotten. So I know that there's exactly right now in the tally 602 endorsements for candidates. I also want to thank our behind the scenes staff. Julianne, thank you for always being there and getting our meetings together, getting all the information passed around and getting us on here today, as well as Paul Evans, all of our technical staff. I really, really appreciate you. And so I guess last but not least, I really want to thank our engaged citizens, all of you who have asked applicants to step up to serve, encouraged them to throw their hats in, and then supported them through your endorsement, your emails and your phone calls. I can't say that I've read every single one of the over 600 emails, but the ones that I have read have been just very heartwarming. I've really enjoyed the very genuine emails with personal stories about how you know the applicant. So thank you all very much. And now we're going to head into public comment. And so speakers are limited to the first 30 speakers who have signed up online. You will have 60 seconds to share your comments, and then you will be notified when your time is up. You will then be muted and moved to the waiting room. And I don't know if you're able to actually see the Bernalillo County seal. Julianne is back there, and she will, there, if you can see it, I've asked her at the 30-second mark to raise the hand, and then at the 45-second mark to flash it a couple of times, so you'll know when to start winding down your comments, because 60 seconds goes really fast. Julianne, please proceed in announcing the speakers.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Our first speaker is, and I'm actually going to call in three so everyone can get queued up. Flora Lucero, Lucy Gilster, and Robert Schwartz.
Go ahead, Flora.
Okay, thank you. Madam Chair, honorable commissioners, you truly have a phenomenal group of individuals vying for this position. Your person of choice should have skills that match the work required. Having worked closely with Jenny Lusk over the past 2 years, I know her skills will make her an effective state representative. For Jenny, this position is about working for justice, representing her community, and she is a team player who uplifts people of color and works vigorously for vulnerable communities. Her deep experience includes working in the roundhouse, drafting bills, and collaborating with members of both chambers. More importantly, she knows how to listen and she is willing to learn. I ask that you appoint Jenny because she is prepared to effectively represent community members of House District 19 in the New Mexico State Legislature. Thank you.
Thank you. Who's next, Julianne?
I have Lucy Gilster. However, I did not see that she signed into the meeting, so we can move on to Robert Schwartz.
Okay, take it away, Robert Schwartz. Robert Schwartz, if you're on mute.
Oh, I'm sorry. There we go. Is this better?
Yes, thank you.
I'm so sorry. Madam
Go ahead, you have 60 seconds.
Okay, Madam Chair and members of the commission. I'm Rob Schwartz, and I'm here to ask you to select Jenny Lusk as the new representative for District 19. I've taught law at UNM for the past 45 years, and I've lived in the same house in the same neighborhood in District 19 for all of those years. For the last 25 years, I've been a neighbor of Miss Lusk, and I've gotten to know her well. I know her work as a civil rights activist, as a lawyer with the Legislative Counsel Service, and as chief of the Civil Rights Bureau of the Attorney General's office, and we could not do better. For 6 years, she literally wrote legislation that our legislature passed. She was then, and she is a consensus builder who can bring people together. She will be ready for this job from the moment that she is appointed. And finally, Ms. Lusk would also be the only member of either house of the New Mexico legislature with a degree in piano performance. And we all know what we need most in Santa Fe is more harmony.
Thank you very much. Who's up next, Julianne?
Next, we have Nicole Alanovich, Monique Silva, and Cornelia Lang. And I believe Nicole Alanovich did not join the meeting. So we can start with Monique Silva, please.
Okay, Monet, go ahead. You have 60 seconds.
Thank you. Madam Chair and Commissioners, my name is Monique Silva, and I'm here today and speak in favor of Janelle Nunornu for House District 19. Janelle is a proud resident of HD 19, and she understands what is needed for this community and is committed to partnering with the residents to make sure their voices are heard in the legislature. Her passion for clean air and water, well-funded schools, dependable healthcare, and safety are just some of the reasons that make Janelle the candidate for this position. I had the honor of working closely with Janelle in the passing of the Crown Act. And as part of the Black community, she understands deeply and personally why the Crown Act is so important and the impact it will have on New Mexico and her district. Over 4% of the residents of HD 19 are Black. And as we know, far too often, Black New Mexicans are often left out of the conversations that directly impact our lives. We need to make sure that all voices are heard. We live in a state that continues to push forward the tricultural myth, and in doing so causes the erasure of so many voices. Today, I ask the commissioners to make sure that Janelle's voice is heard and that she is given the opportunity to show up and to do the work for HD 19. Thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you very much. Neely Lang, you're up next. Cornelia, please unmute yourself.
Okay. I can't, for some reason, put my video up.
Okay, well, go ahead. You have 60 seconds.
Okay. Thank you. My name is Cornelia Lang. Thank you, Madam Chair and fellow commissioners. I wanted to let you know that I've known David for over 10 years. He's David Montoya. He's very stable. He's will add stability to this position, which I think we need. He has integrity. I think he will also give experience as a business owner. He works with the unions and in construction. We do need a voice of business up at the state legislature. We do need a voice of a veteran. He's had 3 tours of active duty. We don't have that many veterans up there. He's very active in the Hispanic community. I've just had I've known him for a long time, and he will be a steady addition to the New Mexico State Legislature. So again, Madam Chair and fellow commissioners, thank you for giving me time to speak in favor of my very good friend, David Montoya.
Okay, thank you very much. Who's up next, Julianne?
I have Elizabeth Kuna, Elaine Castellan, Lan Sena.
Okay, Elizabeth Kuna.
And again, Elizabeth Kuna, I may not have been able to identify her in the attendees, so we can move on to Elaine Castellan.
Okay, and Cornelia, I see that you're still on. Can you mute yourself so we don't get background noise, please? Thank you.
Hi, this is Aileen. So I just want to say I want to support Kay Bunka for House District 19. I believe she has shown through her commitment for New Mexico and the work she has done has been in the interest of the people. I want someone who will show up for immigrant rights and who will protect and advocate for health in our communities. I'm a proud supporter of Kay. I know she will represent me and the people of my community. And I just want to see someone who looks like me, who has backgrounds like me, and who will be there for me.
Thank you.
Okay, next we have Lan Sena.
Madam
The
Chair.
Honorable Lan Sena. There you go.
Thank you, Madam Chair and members of the commission. My name is Lan Sena. I'm a city councilor for Albuquerque, but I'm here as a community advocate and Asian American leader. Although I have broken the bamboo ceiling here at City Council, I know and support Kay Bunka for House District 19, as she has shown and fought for social, climate, and reproductive justice, not just for House District 19, but all of us within the city and the state. I know that her leadership and unique voice and experience is important at the legislature, and I urge your appointment of Kay Bunka for House District 19, and thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Sena.
Okay, next we have Rachel Lazar, Rosalinda Dorado, Norma Mendoza. I was not able to identify Rachel Lazar, so we can go on to Rosalinda Dorado.
Rosalinda? Rosalinda, we can't hear you, so if you're on mute, please unmute yourself.
Hello. Oh, sorry. Could folks hear me now?
Yes.
My apologies for that. Hello, Madam Chair and members of commission. I am Rosalinda Dorado. I'm here with El Centro Poder y Acción. Thank you all for hearing our emails and having us here today. I'm here to urge the Bernalillo County Commission to nominate Kay Bunka for HD 19. She has a track record of working side by side with directly impacted communities, especially immigrant communities, to build more equitable health and thriving communities in District 19 and all across the state. So please, I urge you to please nominate Kate for this position. We need more women of color in these types of positions to really represent our communities so our communities could thrive. Thank you.
Thank you. Who's next?
Okay. Next, we have Norma Mendoza, followed by Sachi Watanabe, followed by Kai Suzuki.
So Norma is up next.
Yes. Let's see.
Norma, please unmute yourself.
Buenas tardes.
Hi.
Hi.
I'm the translator for Norma Mendoza, and I will be interpreting for her. If we could have just a couple more time for me to be able to interpret her statement.
Sure, go ahead.
Thank you.
Ok, buenas tardes, comisionada de condado. Mi nombre es Norma Dorado. Soy miembro del Centro Poder y Acción. Vengo hoy a pedirles que por favor nominen a Kay Burcon como nuestra legisladora a nivel estatal del Distrito 19. Es muy importante para mí como mujer de color tener una persona que ha mostrado tanto apoyo a la comunidad con actos y historias de involucramiento. Ella viene de familias inmigrantes y representa nuestros valores y principios. Por eso hoy les pido que nominen a Kay para esta posición. Gracias.
Good afternoon, County Commission. My name is Norma Mendoza. I am a member of El Centro Poder y Acción. I come today to ask you to please nominate Kay Bunko as
I'm sorry, are you speaking? We can't hear you.
Oh, I apologize. Let me get closer. Good afternoon, County Commission. My name is Norma Dorado. I am a member of El Centro Poder y Acción. I come today to ask to please nominate Kate as our state legislator for District 19. It is very important to me as a woman of color to have someone who has shown so much support to our community with acts and history of involvement. She comes from a family of immigrant families representing and will represent our values and principles. That is why I'm asking you to please nominate Kate for this position. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next we have Sachi Watanabe, followed by Kay Suzuki, followed by Sandra Ortzman.
Hello, my name is Sachi Watanabe. Thank you, Madam Chair and members of the Commission. I'm an Albuquerque resident, an Asian American, and I was raised in House District 19. I'm in strong support of Kay Bonkua to represent this district. I know that Kay will not only recognize and represent the diversity of this district, but she will also actively leverage her platform to serve our community. Kay has dedicated years of meaningful time in building trust across the district with families and leaders, and I'm certain that she will continue to prioritize building that trust. And this district is filled with culture and language and food and deep history. This district deserves a representative who sees all of us, our roots, and honors our stories. I know that Kay will. I know that Kay will continue to uplift the families and their voices and their needs. She will listen and be guided by authenticity. I urge you to make the choice that will best serve my community. Kay Bonkua will truly build power and allow our communities to feel and be seen. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Kay Suzuki, followed by Sandra Ortzman, followed by Victor Limery.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead. You've got 60 seconds.
Thank you. My name is Kate Suzuki, and I am the co-owner of Kay Amali Textiles, a small business in Albuquerque. I first met Kay Bunka when she was the former executive director of the New Mexico Asian Family Center. She brought our small businesses together to talk with our former mayor at the time about concerns we had in the community. I have seen her lead with compassion and integrity, and always with inclusion. She was able to build the New Mexico Asian Family Center from a one service organization to a multifaceted organization that works with youth, with the elderly, in social justice issues, economic issues in our community. And I've been so impressed with her leadership. Most recently, with the violence that has happened against the Asian community during this pandemic, she was able to brought together a group of Asian women here in the community for healing circles, and I've seen her lead those circles with compassion. I urge the commission to appoint her for House District 19, and she would do a really great job representing our community. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And is Sandra next?
Hi, thank you, Madam Chair and members of the commission. My name is Sandra Ortzman. I have lived and worked in Bernalillo County for 20 years, and I have known Kay Bunka for at least 10 of those years. I met her through my former work at Enlace Comunitario, working on behalf of domestic violence survivors, and Kay was at the New Mexico Asian Family Center. She is a fierce advocate for ending violence against women and all vulnerable communities. She is a lifelong member of House District 19, born and raised there, and she is an advocate for voices that are typically not heard in the state legislature. She has since dedicated her career to working on behalf of the environment and behalf of children. She's a mother. She is a fierce advocate for immigrant families, of which she comes from. And in this time of true unprecedented hate and vitriol against Asian Americans, we need Asian American representation in our state legislature. And Kay would be the first Asian American woman to serve in the legislature. And I urge you unequivocally to support her, because it would be such an opportunity missed, and it's such an opportunity for you to represent the voices of New Mexico. So thank you for your time and for listening to me, and I support Kay Bunka for House District 19.
Thank you, Sandra. Who's up next?
Next, we have Victor Limery, followed by Claudia Medina, followed by Anna Dahl.
Okay.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair, Commissioners. My name is Victor Limery. I'm the Director of Operations at Talent Market in Albuquerque's International District, which butts up right against House District 19. I would like to express my support for Kay Bunka to represent House District 19. I've known her through her work as Executive Director of the New Mexico Asian Family Center, and also as a fellow of the W.K. Kellogg Foundation Community Leadership Network. Kay has exemplified leadership, community building, and community service through all of her work. Additionally, she would also provide representation for the Asian American community, which we so sorely lack. I ask that you appoint Kay. She would make a great choice to represent the diverse people and the diverse needs of House District 19. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next up, Claudia Medina.
Hello, everyone. Madam Chair, members of the Commission. I'm Claudia Medina. I was the former Executive Director of Enlace Comunitario, and I'm the current CEO of Transformar. And in that capacity, I had the privilege and honor to work with Kay Bunka when she was the Executive Director of the Asian Family Center. Through my work with her, I was always impressed as how smart, strategic, and committed she is, fighting for the rights of victims of domestic violence and immigrant communities, especially Asian families, as well as improving access to public transportation, community investment, and environmental justice. And through her work on these different issues, she has demonstrated that she is responsible, hardworking, and most importantly, that we can trust her. And we need someone that we can trust in District 19. So I urge you to appoint Kay on this position. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay, next we have Anna Dahl, who does not appear to have signed in. So we can move on to Stephanie Carrasco Gonzalez, followed by Bunny Cruz, followed by
It's my understanding that Anna Maria Dahl is in the lobby waiting to be admitted.
I did not see her a moment ago. She should now be on. So
Hello.
Anna Dahl.
Yes, Anna's like a nickname. Thank you so much for having me. Good afternoon, Madam Chair and members of the Commission. My name is Anna Maria Dahl, and I am a survivor of domestic violence, a divorced single mom, an advocate, a public safety expert, and a problem solver. I believe in David Montoya's mission to end gun violence in our community because he has spoken up about gun sense legislation and new unique ways to combat the gun violence epidemic in our community. He brings his veteran experience and expertise with him in his advocacy and believes Albuquerque can be a safer community for all, including for my son, who is a young Black man. David also has experience with the passage of legislation through his service in the Obama administration. I urge you to appoint David Montoya to represent House District 19. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, Stephanie.
Buenas tardes, Madam Chair and County Commissioners. My name is Stephanie Carrasco Gonzalez, and I am here to support Kay Bunca for New Mexico's House District 19. I am a longtime community organizer in Albuquerque and have had the pleasure of working with Kay for many years. Kay is a powerhouse, strategic leader and collaborative community member who has worked to earn the trust of communities of color across Albuquerque and especially in the International District. She always prioritizes community issues, seeks language access for the community, especially immigrant and refugee communities of color, and advocates to protect the health of our people and Madre Tierra. I urge you to appoint Kay to fulfill House District 19 because we are in dire need of her leadership, representation, and because she leads with equity, social justice, and an anti-racist lens.
Thank you very much. Next up, Bunny Cruz.
Hello, everybody. Thank you, Commissioner. Thank you, Madam Chair, for having me. Long time no see, guys. I'm just here to say I believe in David Montoya to represent House District 19. His experience in the military, his experience in DC primes him for the position, but also his humanity and his compassion for people, not just people that look like him, but people who, you know, don't look like him, that doesn't have the same lived experience as him. He's open. He sees everybody as just people. And with the diversity of House District 19, I think David's the perfect fit to serve every person in House District 19. So I urge you all to nominate, second, and to vote for David Montoya for House District 19. Thank you for your time tonight.
Thank you very much. Julianne, who's up next?
So next we have Bing Hong, who has not logged in, followed by Joshua Jones, who I do not see. We can move on to Sarah Cobb, Devontae Watson.
Ma'am, dialed in. So if you would just check on that for me.
What was the name?
Joshua Jones, you should have dialed in.
Okay, I do not see his name here. So if we can move on to Sarah Cobb.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair and Commissioners. Thank you for the opportunity to speak on behalf of David Montoya. I have known David for approximately 25 to 30 years. We live down the street from one another. Over these years, I've known David to be passionate and involved in his community. He is articulate and personable and cares about people. I feel he would work hard for the people of HD 19. As a veteran and as a former staffer with Senator Jeff Bingaman, he knows an issue from both sides. He would work an issue from a vision and a dream to policy. And as a former staffer with Senator Tom Udall, I know that that is really the crux, is you need passion, you need to connect with your constituents and their passions, and you need to move that to policy. And that takes somebody that is pragmatic like David. He has integrity, and again, I can say that he would translate the voice of the people into action. I think we're really fortunate to have someone of David's caliber throw his hat in the ring for representative for HD 19. Commissioners, I ask for your support for David Montoya. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sarah. Julianne, can I just stop and ask a procedural question? It seems like last time there were a few people who missed their slot, and then we picked them up at the end. Can we do that this time if somebody gets on late?
Yes.
But still within the public comment period?
Yes, I don't see that being an issue.
Okay, thank you. So who's up next?
We have Devontae Watson, followed by Erica Davis Crump, followed by Tracy McDaniel.
Madam Chairs, members of the County Commission, I am a constituent of House District 19, and I stand in support of David Montoya. David Montoya and I share a lot of similar values. He is the descendants of civil rights activists, and it's a part of his DNA to fight for people who are underrepresented. He is committed to serving not only and has demonstrated commitment working in various capacities in the Democratic Party here in the Bernalillo County, but also to our nation. And I value that highly with him because he has demonstrated that he is a person of valor and of humanity and great characteristics of leadership. He cares for people, and he will represent District 19 constituents very well. He's I met him actually through community, and through that have got the opportunity to personally know David, his leadership, his characteristics, and his commitment to making sure that policy is the language of love for the people in House District 19. I strongly urge this entity, the Bernalillo County Commission, to support David Montoya for House District 19. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Next is Erica.
Hi, everybody. My name is Erica Davis Crump, and it is so good to see all of you commissioners. Hey, Commissioner Balboa. I'm speaking on behalf and in support of Janelle Nunornu, who I've been honored to be in community with and enjoy full collaboration with. She's diligently been able to lead from where she stands and has been in direct support of several BIPOC women's campaigns within the DPNM and to ensure adequate representation across the state. She's a fellow college alum from Wayland Baptist University. She's an emerging alumni with me as well. And she worked tirelessly as a COC member to pass the Crown Act and on other things like the Black Education Act, and ensured that representation was present this year in policy in the most unprecedented time. Representation matters. And as a first-generation American and a daughter of an immigrant, I'm confident of her ability to hold down and represent HD19 because she did not hesitate to raise her hand and say, send me, I'll go. So I ask the commissioners today to stand with Black women and ensure that Janelle Nunornu gets this seat. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Erica. Next up, Tracy McDaniel.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair and Commissioners. My name is Tracy McDaniel. I'm honored to have the opportunity today to speak in support of Enrique Cardiel for House District 19 representative. I've known Enrique since I first became involved in public health in New Mexico in 2010. He's well respected and trusted as a community leader and a public health leader across the state. If elected, I know that Enrique will represent House District 19 with integrity, passion, knowledge, and compassion for the folks that he serves. He has spent decades building community partnerships in the district. He worked hard in this short campaign, and I have no doubt that he will work just as hard and build on his momentum in future campaigns. He will fight for fair redistricting in the short term and for the well-being of working class New Mexicans every day that he's in office. He's qualified and ready to serve, and I ask you to appoint Enrique Cardiel to serve as House District 19 representative. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Who's up next, Julianne?
So we have Mahuba Pana, who has signed up but has not joined. Diana Lopez also signed up but was not able to attend. So we can move on to Rachel Swanson Franz, followed by Pete Vallero.
Can you all hear me all right?
Yes. Go ahead, you have 60 seconds.
Great. Thank you, Madam Chair and Honorable Commissioners of Bernalillo County. My name is Rachel Swanson Franz, and I'm a resident of House District 19, and I'm here to express my enthusiastic support for Kay Bunka as my next state representative. I consider her a dear friend, a colleague, and someone who has helped me grow immensely in my personal and professional life. I'm so thrilled that this district can have Kay as as its champion when it comes to investment in language access, immigrant rights, healthcare and housing access, climate resilient infrastructure, and access to nature. We all know we need swift action on climate change that is equitable and community led, and that champions access to clean air, water, and nature, as well as just transitions, green economies, and affordable housing. I know that Kay's experience working for, living in, and organizing in the International District, coupled with her expertise in public health and conservation, make her the best candidate for House District 19. I look forward to a brighter future in this district with Kay leading and supporting community voices and action. Thank you all very much.
Thank you very much. Next up, Pete.
Hello?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Madam Chair, members of the Bernalillo Commission, good afternoon. I'm here today to speak in behalf of the candidacy of Mr. David Montoya for HD 19. David's professional papers and resume show his experience and professional training. I do want to let you know that David is a precinct chair for Ward 19C and has been doing a very able job in that capacity. What separates David from other candidates? What makes him uniquely qualified to serve? First of all, he will vote and carry legislation to enact a full-time legislature, long overdue. He has also taken a very strong position in terms of gun control by recommending and will advocate for heavy taxes on ammunition. David respects traditional communities and has come up with an idea to place the new United. Pardon me?
You'll have to wrap it up.
Okay, the new United Stadium in the middle of the idea on the fairgrounds. I ask for your support of David Montoya for HD 19. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Julianne, do we have anybody else signed up?
That is all for our 30 speakers, but I do see, I think I see one that was not on earlier. I have Bing Hong.
Okay, go ahead, Bing. You have 60 seconds.
Hi, thank you very much for letting me in, and I'm sorry for being here late. I'm here to support Kay to be appointed as House District 19 for the International District. I have been known Kay for like, I would say about a decade, and in the past 10 years, I have witnessed, she has done so many for the communities. She had led several of the projects to increase the overall benefit, the overall wellness of the mental health of the people living in that district. And she has been participated in so many activities, and she had led so many programs to just to advocate for the district. So I just want to ask the commissioner to consider the appointment for the K for District 19. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Julianne, has anybody else checked in?
I now have Joshua Jones on.
Okay, go ahead, Joshua. You have 60 seconds.
Good afternoon. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Madam Chair and Commissioners, my name is Joshua Jones, former Wounded Warrior Fellow, congressional staffer for former Congresswoman, now Madam Secretary Deb Haaland, and an Air Force veteran. I am here today to say that I am full support of David Montoya for the vacant seat of House District 19. I believe that David is without question the most qualified applicant for the appointment, period. David is a combat veteran who served 3 tours of duty. David is also familiar with the passage of legislation through his through the Obama administration and within his time in senior staffer to Senator Jeff Bingaman. In addition to his leadership experience in the Air Force and his time in Washington, D.C., he is very active in the Democratic Party of New Mexico. He has been the precinct chair, the ward chair, and county chair, and recently elected and selected for 1st Congressional District Chairman of New Mexico Democratic Party. As a former fellow, staffer, and Air Force veteran, I ask you to vote for David Montoya to represent House District 19 because he is definitely a leader, he's definitely a fighter, and he's the most qualified applicant for the appointment. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Has anybody else checked in, Julianne?
Yes, I do now have, let's see, I have Rachel Lazar.
Okay. Go ahead, Rachel, 60 seconds.
Chairman
We
Piscotty.
can't hear you, Rachel.
My name is Rachel Lazar, and I'm speaking on behalf of El Centro Poder y Acción on Workers' Justice and Immigrant Rights 501c4, sister organization to El Centro de Igualdad y Derechos. We are super proud that there are such amazing community leaders who are willing to serve in District 19, many of whom have been great allies to El Centro. We urge today's support for Kay because she has a long track record of supporting immigrant rights, and as a first-generation immigrant herself, she has lived experience that makes her the right person to represent our diverse communities. She's a strong leader, dedicated to equity and social justice, and has vast experience in policy advocacy and community engagement. Thank you.
Thank you, Rachel.
Madam Chair, that'll conclude public comment.
Okay, thanks so much. And thank you to everyone who commented. And so now we're going to move on to the applicants themselves. And each applicant will have 4 minutes to speak. And I will call the names. And I have to say, I think as just a tribute to the International District, I had to actually have my assistant call some of these applicants beforehand so I could pronounce their last names correctly. So I hope I get it right. And if I don't, please forgive me. I know I have a weird name. So I know it can be hard sometimes, but let's start. We're going in alphabetical order. So Janelle Nunornu, you have 4 minutes.
Oh, turn on my camera. Thank you so much, Chairwoman. Excellent pronunciation, wonderful job. Hello, and thank you, commissioners, for your service to the County of Bernalillo and for your time and consideration throughout this selection process. And thank you also, and congratulations to the other applicants running. It's so encouraging to see how engaged the people of District 19 are. I want to first begin by acknowledging that we stand on stolen Tiwa land, and I do want to honor that. My name is Janelle Nunornu, and I'm seeking the appointment for the vacant seat in House District 19. My father immigrated to the United States from Nigeria on an engineering scholarship after fighting his way to the top percentile of his class out of thousands of other students. My mother was born in Illinois. They found each other at the University of Michigan and started dating with the Detroit riots as the backdrop of their unlikely and unpopular relationship. Ignoring social norms, they married in 1966, a year before the Supreme Court made interracial marriage legal nationwide. My parents stand up for what they believe is right. My father taught me that big dreams are accomplished through hard work, and my mother taught me that a woman's place is wherever she chooses it to be. I moved to New Mexico at 2 years old. Albuquerque is the only home I know. And like so many people in the community, I know what it is to work paycheck to paycheck. And I worry that I can't pay my bills on time. And I will take these shared lived experiences with me every time I vote in the legislature. I'm committed to serving my community, and I want to help improve the lives of people in District 19. I've worked to support important initiatives before the legislature, including an Anti-Discrimination Act, the requirement that all police officers wear lapel cams, and the Civil Rights Act, all of which passed. It is my dream to serve the people of House District 19 and the state by focusing on policy legislation that makes real change in the lives of the people in the district. First and foremost, House District 19 faces an existential threat under redistricting. Without a strong representative who can put a face on the district and fight to prevent the cannibalization of the district, it is very likely that the needs of the less affluent people of this district will be diluted in such a way that those needs are not heard. For over 10 years, I've been the office manager for a small financial planning firm here in Albuquerque. I'm well aware that business owners face economic challenges just like their workers. I will always support organized labor, and I'm dedicated to a worker's right to a living wage. However, I will not ignore the importance of fostering a vibrant business community. District 19 needs jobs, and supporting business is critical to our success as a district and a state. I don't believe that supporting workers and supporting business is an either-or proposition. I will maintain an open door policy for both sides of economic debate. I will also focus on growing the size of the economic pie such that businesses and workers both share in the business and the benefits of a growing economy. I'm seeking this appointment because District 19 deserves a leader who will first protect it from being destroyed by redistricting. The proposals being considered right now would break up this beautiful, diverse community and take away the people's voting power. District 19 needs a representative who can get legislation passed in Santa Fe. I'm not a lobbyist and I'm not beholden to any special interest groups. I will be beholden only to the people of District 19. Although I don't owe anything to any interests or individuals, I do have the relationships and the experience necessary to understand how to get bills once passed by the House on committee agendas in the Senate and through the Senate floor. I will lead the fight to save our district as we know it, and I will use those relationships that I have established to not only propose legislation that the community needs, but to get that legislation passed. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Janelle. And now, Kay Bunka.
Hi, everyone, and hi to the Bernalillo County Commissioners. My name is Bianca Bunka. I used to grapple with the idea that I could lead. As someone who was born to undocumented parents, who was told that I needed to speak English so that I would succeed, who never seemed to eat the right foods or looked American enough, it took me a long time to realize that it wasn't that I couldn't lead, I just wasn't paying attention. I wasn't paying attention to the strength of my parents, who escaped war, fought against housing discrimination, and thrived despite being barred from healthcare and employment, who ensured I had the languages that were spoken by my ancestors and the foods that had nourished our bodies, souls, and minds across generations. I wasn't paying attention to the movement of dreamers who fought for a path to citizenship for themselves and their families, to the indigenous communities that were reclaiming their connection to land and the cultures that were stripped from them, to the Black and Brown leaders who have led their communities throughout history. I wasn't paying attention because these are the stories that people take from us. These are the stories that never make it into our history classes, but these are the stories that reaffirm our ability to lead and that are whispered to us as we dream. I'm here today to tell you that I am paying attention. We are paying attention, and we know that it's time for us to have a representative body in the New Mexico State Legislature that embraces the ever-growing multicultural, multilingual communities that live in the state. I helped to build a Pan-Asian organization that recognizes the intergenerational ties of family and community as a part of our healing. Transition to conservation work with the understanding that violence experienced by our communities is tied to the violence done to the earth. And I'm learning with community how to reform an education system to recognize the values of all of us. I am ready to serve House District 19 as the first ever Asian American woman in the New Mexico State Legislature. Our agenda will be one that focuses on keeping this district whole, because to break apart the most diverse area in the state is to continue the perpetration of systemic violence against Black, Indigenous, Latinx, Asian Pacific Islander, and other communities of color. Working with local leaders to start the first Black-owned bank to address the lack of accessible financial capital and banking for communities of color, I know the importance of investing in community-led solutions to support economic infrastructure. With a public health background, I'll work alongside communities to find solutions that address the root causes of issues, including poverty, such as supporting universal basic income, which is being explored in Las Cruces. By utilizing my knowledge of federal, state, and local funds, I hope to leverage efforts such as the Federal Infrastructure Package and the Land and Water Conservation Fund to bring resources to invest in HD19 streets, parks, and open spaces, and New Mexico's broader need for essential services such as transit and broadband. House District 19 is my home. My grandparents' names lie within the temple at Central in Louisiana. My youth was spent running through the aisles of Dahl. I've dedicated my career here and am growing my family in this district. For people who see HD19 as something to break apart, I see a community that will remain, who care for this place, and who deserve to be represented by someone who has similar lived experiences and shared values. Thank you all so much.
Thank you very much. Next up, we have Enrique Cardiel.
Hello, and thank you, commissioners, for giving us time to present ourselves. I'm very excited to be here and earn your endorsement and trust. I've worked with City Council, County Commission, and the state legislature. I believe I'll do the best job possible because I want to make District 19 shine. I have sincerity. I know some may judge me by things other than my qualifications. I am here to do what I've always done, serve the broader community, because we know when people are struggling, the people who are struggling the hardest do well. We all do well. After leaving the Navy, I was the first in my family to attain a college degree. I attained my master's in public health while working in public health for Bernalillo County. I've worked in public health for 20 years, and before that, I was a family advocate for children having behavioral issues. And before that, I was working with youth to help them get into higher education. My whole adult life has been service to community. And like many people here, I've had a wide variety of experiences. I've picked foods in the field. I was raised by my grandparents. I had manual labor jobs like security, landscaping, and painting. Then I came to UNM and I started working for lower tuition in 1989, and that was the beginning of my community work. Then we reached out to help high schools develop youth organizations, and I've worked on metropolitan redevelopment area plans, sector plans, capital outlay, community organizing through neighborhood associations, Head Start parent groups, school organizations, and more. I've mentored youth for input into Jack and Jill Park. So there's helping youth with the planning process. I've worked for community lighting, gardening, neighborhood cleanup, tree planting, syringe pickup training. I've been an anti-racism and anti-oppression trainer. I've supported affordable housing projects like the Sundowner, Plaza Feliz, and more. I've done community health survey with Community Health Partnership, the International District Healthy Communities Coalition, worked on a project called Education Equals Health, where we door knocked for people who wanted GED services and found out that there was a greater need than the services available. This is why being in legislature is important to me. We need to put in the resources that will help people get what they need. I worked with Highland parents in the early days of ABC Community Schools, and our group became advocates for equity, which is now Families United for Education. I've worked with many of the issues in District 19 and the state with families, friends, neighbors who have mental health issues, housing insecurity, incarceration, and more. I've worked to help people with educational attainment, homeownership, and parenting, all the beautiful things of our community. I know that health equity comes from social equity. Social equity comes from equity and power. We need to democratize our society and give as many people a voice as possible. I've supported businesses by co-founding the Many Hands Building Cooperatives organization because they need to balance economic and community development. There's a lot of other activities that I do. I've worked violence prevention with the city of Albuquerque and Bernalillo County. I've worked on immigrant driver's licenses and repealing the death penalty, as well as other legislation. I will work with others to continue to strengthen District 19, the most urban and most diverse district in the state. The people of color and working class communities that make up the district, as well as the more middle class portions of the area, can come together and keep District 19 as the phoenix that it is. People think we're in the ashes, but we're only starting to rise. For what we need to do is work with community, city, county, and state. And I have the experience that can do that. We can pull the entire community together for fair redistricting, keep ourselves intact, and transfer that organizing skill to maintain going forward. I'm here to serve everyone by focusing on those who are struggling the most. I look forward to working with everyone to make District 19 the best place in New Mexico that we can have. Thank you.
Thank you, Enrique. Next up, Colton Dean.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair, members of the County Commission. Thank you for having this. My name is Colton Dean. Just wanted to give a little background about myself for people who may not know me. I lived in Albuquerque for 26 years, moved here when I was 9. I'm the son of a single mom, and I went through the APS school system. I understand the struggles that come with that. You know, those struggles didn't quite lead me to be college ready when it was time to graduate from APS. Nevertheless, I did pursue a career in film. However, when that didn't pan out, I had to go back to school, as many people have to do when their careers don't quite work out. And I got into emergency medicine. For the last 13 years, I've been working on an ambulance, doing interfacility transfers and responding to 911 calls, a lot of them in our community in the International District. I was recently asked if I've done a lot of door knocking, which I have for various campaigns and candidates, but I've also responded when people have called for help. And I kind of feel that the vulnerability of a person or a family in a 911 situation reveals far more than they're going to tell you on any questionnaire or with door knocking. You see the economic disparity, the lack of healthcare, the adequate or inadequate housing. These are issues that I've seen very close and have felt powerless as a paramedic to help with. So when my partner and I bought our house in the International District, we're seeking to do what we can to take our experiences to help the community. We're one of the main things that I would focus on as a candidate, or as if appointed, is climate change. If we push for solar and battery storage in our homes, this will provide revenue for residences and also be a source of revenue for the state. This will also spur high-tech jobs that are ready for the 21st century. This will be non-outsourceable jobs that can't be done from a call center states away or nations away. Also, the first priority, if appointed, would be to protect the International District. This is one of the most diverse communities in the city, if not the state. I would do all that I can to make sure that House District 19 is the International District. And any person who might come after me would have to come from our communities. Finally, my vision for New Mexico is so that people, you know, when they think of New Mexico, they think of the 47th state, so that we no longer have to remind them, yeah, we are a state. And I think we can do that. We have the potential to lead, and we have the potential to fight climate change on the individual level. Thank you very much.
Madam Chair, you're on mute.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Colton. And next up is Richard Lopez. And Richard Lopez is on mute.
So it wasn't just you, huh? Can you hear me now?
Yes.
All right.
Go ahead. You have 4 minutes.
Okay, 4 minutes. I'll talk fast. Good afternoon. My name is Richard Lopez. I'm the librarian at Ernie Pyle Middle School. I also coach boys and girls basketball at Ernie Pyle. As you can imagine, it's a great job because as a librarian all day long, I give books to children. It's hard to beat that. But then after school, I coach basketball, where I get to teach children about teamwork and sportsmanship. Like I said, great job, and I work with some wonderful kids at a good school. But while I work in the South Valley, I am proud to say that I was born and raised in District 19. For elementary school, I went to Our Lady of the Assumption, which is in District 19. For middle school, I went to Hayes, and then I graduated from Highland High School, which is also in District 19. You see a pattern there, don't you? Being born and raised in District 19, I'd argue that no other applicant in this meeting knows District 19 better than I do. So after Highland High School, I went to UNM, got a bachelor's degree in journalism. I worked at Channel 13 here in Albuquerque. Then I went to KTSM TV and Channel 9 in El Paso. After that, I was weekend anchor at KOAA TV in Colorado Springs. But then I got tired of TV news and I moved back here to New Mexico. Then I attended the College of Santa Fe and got another bachelor's degree, this one in secondary education. And I've been working in education ever since. Also, about 6 years ago, I went back to UNM and I got a master's degree in language, literacy, and sociocultural studies. That's a mouthful, I know. Okay, let's talk District 19. Whoever you select, commissioners, you need to pick somebody who will not be overwhelmed by the job, because it's a very big job. As a journalist, I've met and interviewed hundreds of community leaders, including about a half dozen governors, including Jerry Apodaca, Bruce King, Tony Anaya, and Gary Carruthers. I've also interviewed Colorado Governor Roy Romer and Texas Governor Ann Richards. She was something else, smart and funny. But unfortunately, I've never met our current governor. However, I did get to know her cousin, United States Secretary of the Interior, Manuel Lujan Jr. Great man, very nice guy. But I've also interviewed dozens of other national politicians and community leaders. Two of the most interesting, Arizona Senator John McCain and US Attorney General Janet Reno. And with McCain, we talked about border issues. With Janet Reno, we talked about crime. Now, the reason I bring that up is that was 25 years ago. Today, voters are still interested in those same issues. Okay, as far as politics, I am proud to be a moderate. I know, kind of boring, huh? The way I know that I'm a moderate is that my conservative friends think I'm a liberal, but my liberal friends think I'm a conservative. So personally, I think we need more moderates in politics, especially nowadays when our country is so divided. Now, as a moderate, I would work to find common ground among lawmakers from both parties. I know that's easier said than done, but I think I am up to that challenge. Okay, as you already know, I was born and raised in New Mexico. What you don't know is both of my parents were also born and raised in New Mexico. My dad's family is from around Las Vegas and Santa Rosa también also. My mom's family is from Mountain Air, beautiful Mountain Air. One other thing about my parents, they both loved New Mexico, just like I do. So anyway, I feel that my experiences as a journalist and as an educator, plus the fact that I'm a moderate, make me a good choice to represent my neighbors in District 19, all of my neighbors, Democrats, Republicans, and independents. So thank you very much for your time and your consideration.
Thank you, Richard. And next up is Jenny Lusk.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair and Commissioners. I'm here to ask you to appoint me, Jenny Lusk, to represent the people of House District 19. My 40-year career has prepared me for this significant chance to do something for the people of House District 19. Until now, I couldn't take on the duties of a state representative, but now the time is ripe, not only for me, but for this unique part of Bernalillo County and Albuquerque. House District 19 is one of the most diverse, most vulnerable 30,000 people in New Mexico. This neighborhood where I've lived for 30 years as a single parent and raised 3 kids who have all now graduated from APS and UNM is the place that many immigrants first get a taste for whether the US democracy includes their voices and supports their needs. It's the place many children of color get a taste for poisonous discrimination, and everyone gets a taste for the consequences of poisonous drugs. It's a place that affluent children can get a good start in life, and that poorer children too often get a kick in the teeth. So I would not be at all surprised if you worry about appointing an older white woman to serve here, but I ask you please to consider a few things before appointing anyone else. First, ageism is a thing. Being older does not make me irrelevant. It makes me better able to avoid pitfalls learned with hard experience of failure. Youth is not by itself a virtue, just as our kids let us know, age is not a guarantee of wisdom. I've spent a lifetime working for racial justice and equity. I've worked raising funds for UNICEF. I've built ACLU New Mexico from a tiny to a flourishing organization. I've worked as a lawyer for all three branches of government and now serve as the Civil Rights Bureau Chief for the Attorney General. Through my work, I've ensured that New Mexico's poorest women can get reproductive health care with Medicaid dollars. I've ensured that young people cannot be targeted for curfew violations when in fact they're working late shifts to support their families. I negotiated one of the earliest police oversight accountability systems for APD. I improved jail conditions for people with mental health issues and people with developmental disabilities. I've drafted laws allocating state tax dollars to tribal infrastructure and raised $40,000 in small contributions in a single day for Ethiopian relief. I brought the stories of families torn apart at the border into federal court and pressed for assurance that the federal government will fix the environmental devastation caused by the border wall. But really, I'm focusing forward now. If appointed, I promise I will find a way to protect trans and gay teens who live unhoused in House District 19. And for that matter, to find funding for Albuquerque Arroyo construction to prevent even one more flooding death of an unhoused person living under a bridge somewhere. I will ensure that the toxic plume that drains from the military base to the international district is actually remediated and Albuquerque wells are monitored for nuclear waste. I will make all police and sheriff's forces statewide more accountable to the communities that the officers serve. I will address hate incidents before they become hate crimes and support fair elections. We can't let these things go and pretend that they'll be resolved on their own. We have the duty to act on them now, and the time is right. So if you don't bench me tonight, I can continue to open doors and welcome to the table communities of color investing and improving in our district. I seek this appointment as an end in itself and not as a stepping stone for any other office. I'm asking you to support me to serve this unique community. And if you do, I promise to put the community's needs first and to serve with intelligence, integrity, and love in my heart. I have a full resume and plenty of wrinkles to prove my decades of service in personal and professional life. I have the experience to serve effectively from day one, if you put your trust in me. So the time is ripe and the decision is in your hand. I ask you please to appoint me, Jenny Lusk, for House District 19, and thank you for this meeting.
Thank you, Jenny. Next up, David Montoya.
Good evening, Madam Chair and commissioners and fellow applicants. If you'd asked me 3 weeks ago if I'd be standing here in front of you, I probably would not have believed you. But here we are, gathered tonight to take steps necessary to select bold, experienced leadership with integrity to fight for our community. I am David Montoya, and I am a candidate for House District 19. Now, out on the campaign trail, the number one question I get from folks is, why do you want to do this? What makes you do this? My answer is, as someone who was raised by civil rights leaders, I have always protected the disenfranchised and spoke truth to power. Even as early as 3rd grade, I stood up to the playground bully for calling one of my friends a racial slur at recess. 20 years later, in the Air Force as a young lieutenant, when I took on multiple 3-letter agencies to correct errors, critical errors, in combat search and rescue materials, saving countless lives in Iraq. To when my good friend Sunil Stewart, myself, and Senator Jeff Bingaman stood up to the Bush Cheney administration against the illegal treatment of enemy combatants. Or at the VA, when I highlighted the distances Indian and rural veterans had to travel to receive the care and benefits that they had earned. Well, I'm still here and willing to serve and fight for the citizens of House District 19, the Southeast Quadrant, in all of Albuquerque. Because we stand up, this campaign has become a movement, and we have built a broad coalition of support from leaders in the LGBTQ+ community, champions for responsible gun ownership, the judicial system, the Black community, Chicanos, veterans, educators, environmentalists, women, and organized labor. And while there are many wonderful people who love their community applying for this position, experience matters, and the right type of experience matters. It is important that we pick a candidate with a broad base of support, with the right legislative, public service, and Democratic Party experience, and one that offers a bold vision to combat the unique challenges we face here in House District 19. For I believe that LGBTQ+ rights are civil rights, and we need to provide enforcement to ensure equal, equitable treatment of the trans community in employment, housing, and healthcare. They are the most disenfranchised, and none of us are free until all of us are free. We need to confront the violence and the crime that grips our community. I've already proposed legislation to tax ammunition to fund diversionary and violence intervention programs. We will ensure that the legislature holds the Public Education Department accountable for the implementation of the Ozzie Martinez decision, which will ensure that kids at Highland High School get the same quality and level of education as kids at La Cueva and Sandia. We will stand against any legislation that restricts the right of a woman to control her own body. It is disgusting that we're still having this debate, as it is a relic of time when women were viewed as property and not as humans. And we need to accelerate the transition away from our dependence on oil and gas and move 10 years faster to wind and electric power. We must begin the electrification of the state motor pool and demand that every capital project funded by public monies is LEED compliant. And we must demand an economic revitalization of the International District. I propose a new soccer complex located at the New Mexico State Fairgrounds for New Mexico United. This complex will include youth fields, adult soccer fields, surrounded by a new arena that will attract soccer tournaments from across the region to come to the International District. Imagine, if you will, local restaurants from the ID manning the stalls in the Via Hispana, international pregame music at the Ford Amphitheater, and the New Mexico Curse proudly marching down Main Street on the way to the game in now a reclaimed space that used to be an empty parking lot. There's plenty of existing parking, and we have a hidden jewel right in our own backyard. Our community must also begin to heal from the tragic loss of life in our public schools. Benny Hargrove, at the age of 13 on a school playground, exemplified the same values I was instilled with, and I try to instill with my children as well. Benny is a shining example of everything that we should strive for in District 19. And if appointed, I will make every effort to live up to the same values that we all now and hold Benny held dear. My name is David Montoya, and I'm a candidate for House District 19, and I need your support. Thank you very much.
Thank you, David. And now on to Paul Sanchez. Paul, please unmute yourself. Thank you.
All right, thank you, everyone. County Commissioners and Chairman, Madam Chair, I want to thank you. It's a privilege to speak to all of you today, and thank you for taking the time to hear from all of us. We all knew the urgency, and we've all reflected on this decision to run. Each of us wanting to lend our voices and our professional capacities to help in our district. And from what you've heard from everybody, you can imagine that they're very impressed, and I'm impressed. I'm so glad to be here with all these candidates. I will do an exceptional job as your House representative from District 19 if selected. Our district is diverse, like you've heard, and economically important to the city of Albuquerque. We offer a diversity in everything. We have a tremendous amount of immigrants living in our community, a diversity of language, and a strong minority representation. And we've all faced many challenges in our community together. Our district has seen a lot of changes over the last decade, and it's really kind of been hard to keep up. I've grown up, basically, I grew up in Grants, New Mexico, with a lot of people that are in leadership in our state. But I also want you to know that I've spent the majority of my adulthood growing up, quite literally, in District 19 and the International District. And I've seen firsthand many of the changes. It's been really important for me to involve myself, especially in healthcare, both as a volunteer and an administrator over the last 33 years. I want to say unequivocally that running businesses, both small and large, and taking care of our families, that's what's going to keep our city prospering. And I think we can all be in agreement on that. But we must allocate the tools and the resources for our populations with thoughtfulness and in partnership with many varied interests. And you've heard that today. I've worked as a lobbyist and a healthcare advocate in Santa Fe for over 15 years. I've worked hard on behalf of families and with teams of people motivated like myself to help lessen the burden of chronic disease and disease in our communities. Constituents, caregivers, and families very often face financial ruin when a terminal illness happens. And I think many of you have faced that in your families, so you know what that looks like. We need to protect ourselves. We need to protect our businesses. And we all saw the impact of COVID-19 in our community. Many tax-paying businesses and employers will never recover. And that's devastating for a community like Albuquerque and in New Mexico. I'm going to tell you, Commission, I will focus as your representative. I will never vote on a measure that puts our state's resources at risk, groundwater, air quality, and anything that will impact our environment. Those priorities will be at the top of my list. I will make sure that we have a fully funded environmental department and a Department of Health, a focus always on legislation that considers the health of New Mexicans first. When healthcare, environment, and educational concerns are not managed appropriately, we've seen an immediate and direct correlation in the public health data, and the well-being of our populations are put at risk. The constituents have afforded us in leadership oversight to protect them, their families, your families, and for many generations to come. We have the power to take those positive changes and make those positive changes something that's meaningful in state statute. We all know and sense environmentally that we are at a tipping point when it comes to our state's environment. In our district, we've been dealing with these issues for many years. I've been to a lot of those meetings, the jet fuel spill at Kirtland and Los Alamos wastewater dump at Kirtland. I've worked diligently and respectfully across party lines to develop relationships with legislators and leadership to make sure that we have good legislation that will positively impact our populations. I've worked over the years on healthcare legislation that both has passed and failed. And I've worked again with lots of wonderful people up in Santa Fe building those relationships. I have great relationships built in Santa Fe. I've knocked on doors and heard the voices and concerns of my community. I've helped to make sure that our communities are represented both locally and nationally. I want you to know that we are all aware here that redistricting matters. I will be a strong proponent of keeping our district intact in a way that benefits the many voices in our area. I've sat on many local and regional boards that have helped buffer financially the needs of our community, but that also means that we must be diligent in the management of resources that we do have. Behavioral health is at the top of my priorities if I work as your representative in Santa Fe, and I will make that a top issue as your state representative. I want to thank you for listening to me and to all of us today and for allowing me the time. And I know, and I hope you know that I will do a good job in this district for the International District. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Paul. Next up is Drew Cedro.
All right. Thank you very much, commissioners. And thank you to my fellow candidates. I kind of began this in a point of despair, kind of that corruption had touched on our district, and I feel much more hopeful today. So thank you for all of your words and all of your ideas and all of your time. I moved here 26 years ago, and I've lived and I've taught and coached students from District 19 most of that time. My wife and I raised our 2 children here. I came here because I believe in this place. As teachers, my wife and I understand that we rarely have time to solve one problem at a time. And that's the position our state is in now. If we want our state to prosper, we have to be good stewards of its finances, but we need to make wise investments in our infrastructure and human capital that will pay off now and in days to come, while still allowing our economy to diversify and thrive. We have interrelated problems, though, so we need interrelated solutions. We need a vision for a sustainable future that includes economic development, public safety, a working social safety network, and environmental sustainability. That means a level playing field where out-of-state corporations pay the same taxes our own businesses do. It requires that we invest in and support people by recruiting New Mexicans to stay here in necessary trades and fields through scholarships. Without recruiting the social workers, the medical professionals, and the therapists, we will not be able to meet the needs of veterans, our immigrants, our youth, our LGBTQ+, or any of our other vibrant and diverse communities. We need to recruit industry by fighting our brain drain and providing opportunity scholarships for trade school, college, and university students who agree to work in state for a period of time. Economic sustainability also means environmental sustainability. We need to double our investment in desalination research and promote common sense conservation throughout the state. And we need to protect our groundwater supply by ensuring that fracking chemicals are disclosed fully so that any polluter that infects the water supply can be held accountable. A sustainable future also means ensuring public safety. We need to reward the professionalism that we expect of our police. As teachers, we're compensated for attaining higher degrees, and the same should be true of our police officers. We also need to allow judges to consider other pending charges in making bail determinations, all while respecting the rights of the accused by expediting those cases to the front of the line. But police are our last line of defense, not the first. A healthy community supports its people rather than waiting to incarcerate them. We need to develop community and diversion programs that help our people see a future in which they can contribute. We need to provide grants to expand hours for community centers or to utilize schools and libraries as community centers in underserved communities. Finally, we need to address corruption. I wish it were confined to the office that we're all seeking here. But there are entire school boards, entire police departments in some rural communities being found guilty of corruption. And the directors of multiple state charters have been found to be either embezzling or discriminating against our children, all because of a lack of oversight. We need to fund proper oversight throughout the state. Look, these are attainable goals. They'll benefit the 19th district, but they'll also benefit districts throughout the state. I believe these proposals will help us win over the forces of resistance to change. Thank you for your consideration, and I appreciate your time.
Thank you, Drew. Next up, Tiffany Stevens.
Good afternoon, and thank you, Chair and County Commissioners, for the time to speak with you today. My name is Tiffany Stevens, and I'm asking you for the nomination and the vote to House District 19. And here's why. First, I am a passionate, transparent, honest leader. And any future decisions that I might make for House District 19 will be for the benefit and the well-being of this district and all of its citizens. And second, I'm a fighter for clean air, clean water, and for a healthy environment. And when we talk about climate change and the issues that surround climate change, we must talk about the social justices and the impact that it has. And that is why I'm an advocate for economic and social justice. I believe that when policy is being written and discussed, everyone deserves a seat at the table, including our veterans, our LGBTQ+ community, our minority communities, and all of our underrepresented communities in our district. Their voices matter. I will foster relationships in my community. I see myself as a leader who's building bridges to the resources that our community needs so that we can be stronger together in House District 19. And we must talk about healthcare when we talk about social and economic justice. I believe not just in healthcare for the physical body, but healthcare for the mental well-being. And therefore, we must have more professionals like social workers, mental health professionals, and advocates, not just for the individual, but for the family as a whole. I would like to share a little bit about myself with you. I'm a proud, longtime resident of the International District. My partner and I raised a teenager, 3 dogs, 5 chickens, so we have a full house. I've worked on several campaigns in the past 5 years. I've worked on issue-based campaigns, state and local campaigns, and a federal campaign. And I bring this up because I believe it gives me a unique skill set. I believe in putting boots on the ground and knocking doors and listening to the issues of the voters in my community. I will do the outreach that is needed to listen to the ideas of all of our community leaders and our voters. I will be an advocate for renters' rights and for workers' rights. I've worked for several minimum wage jobs myself, and I believe that everyone deserves a dignified living wage. And when I think about our public schools, I believe in fair and equal education. All students should be treated with equity and have the access to the resources they need to succeed when they graduate high school. If appointed, I pledge as a representative to be an honest, transparent leader who will listen to our community leaders, advocate for the voters and all the voters in House District 19 so that we can find the solutions to the issues that we face. My name is Tiffany Stevens, and I'm asking for your nomination and your vote for House District 19. Thank you so much for your time this afternoon. Thank you.
Thank you, Tiffany. And thank you to all the applicants. Thank you for those wonderful speeches. There's a lot of knowledge, passion, creativity, and commitment to House District 19. I could certainly see that. And so we're going to go on to open discussion for commissioners, and then we're going to go on to nominations and voting. But in this time period, I know that Commissioner Barboa would like to say a little something about House District 19, which is in her commission district. And then if any of the commissioners have any comments or questions for the applicants, this will be your chance to speak. So Commissioner Barboa, do you want to say something?
Thank you, Madam Chair of Commissioners, and for everybody who stepped up in this brave and important appointment. I want to recognize that we are on Tiwa lands, and I say that because I strive to be in relationship to our Indigenous community members that we are residing on their lands. The reason this seat is open has been heavy and heartbreaking for many of our community. So I step into this recognizing that this community needs healing and some rebuilding of trust and integrity for the district. We have lost one of only 4 African-American legislators, one of 3 African-American women in our legislature. So our community has had some loss, and anyone who gets this seat must come in with ready to build trust and relationships. The Southeast has been my home for my entire life, where I raised my kids, and why I decided to run and serve in this elected seat. We are a beautiful and rich community, abundant with caring, loving, strong, and resilient leaders that are ready and have been saving themselves across time and generations. And you've heard from them today, many of them today. We are home to robust behavioral health services, the Veterans Administration and Hospital. We are culturally rich, a first home and place of resource for every single refugee that seeks refuge in New Mexico, in Albuquerque, and home to the best and greatest array of delicious food and cultures in all of New Mexico. Because of my 12 years advocating daily during the state legislature and local government, I know too often that we don't get to see ourselves in our elected officials. And I have seen the difference it makes to people who truly understand the lived experience. So I'm excited for this abundance of folks and resources. I know the importance of this appointment for this very unique House District 19. So I just wanted to say thank you for everybody. The richness and diversity and culturally abundance of our district has been evident in the candidates you see in front of you today. And I just want to say thank you to every single one of them.
Thank you. Commissioner Casada, do you have a comment or question?
Yeah, just a comment. What an amazing group
of individuals from District 19. I'm a little jealous on how great community and how many great community leaders they have in District 19. I echo some of their concerns about the redistricting because that would kind of separate such a powerhouse of really talented, passionate, experienced people that just do the work without actually seeking for office. These are people who just did the work, isn't looking for any kind of other recognition, but to do the work of that community. And it was such a pleasure to listen to every single one of them speak. I wish we had that same type of pool to choose from at the federal level. That's just my own personal comment, but I'm telling you, they were very impressive. And I want to thank them all for actually making that leap, throwing their hat into the ring. As many of us who have done this for a little bit know how difficult that is to do that. And it really takes a passion for community to get past your own self-doubt, your own self, barriers, and to step up and say, look, it means that much to me to put my hat in the ring to change the lives of these people who I find dear and true to my heart. And I want to thank them for that. And I want to wish them all a whole lot of luck. And I'll end with this. If you're not appointed today, I'm really looking forward to seeing your campaign, because at the end of the day, if you really want to be at the table to make change, you got to step up and play in the game. So with that being said, thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Vice Chair.
Madam Chair?
Is that Commissioner O'Malley?
Yes, Commissioner O'Malley.
Go ahead.
Thank you. I had the honor of talking and having a conversation with all the applicants, and I too was very impressed with their knowledge of their district and also their willingness to serve. I was very moved by many of the personal stories, and I'm just really too, as Commissioner Casada pointed out, very impressed with the commitment that you see from citizens. I mean, you don't see this every day. In fact, sometimes it's hard to get people to step up, but this is an appointment, so I understand why also there's a lot of people who applied. I know that you will all continue to work in your districts, no matter the outcome. Coming from an organizing background myself, and also a community advocate, I can certainly appreciate the hard work that goes into all of it, of all the things that you do, and you do it on behalf of your community. And so I want to thank you again for as I said, stepping up and applying and putting yourselves out there. So as is pointed out, no matter what happens, I just want to say you have my admiration and thanks.
Thank you, Commissioner O'Malley. And yeah, I echo everything that was said. This is such a special district, and it's been so great. I talked to all of the applicants on the phone, one person in person, and I enjoyed reading the emails that people sent in, and yeah, hearing your stories, hear about the work that you do day in and day out in your communities. And I think that, yeah, you're just all awesome. So thank you all for stepping up. Are there any other comments or questions? Okay, well, seeing none, then we're going to go to the nomination process. And I just want to talk a little bit about how this works. So if you didn't see the commissioners, we did this just about a couple of months ago. So hopefully it's fresh in our minds, but for the applicants and people watching, commissioners are able to put out a nomination. And if it gets a second, then it goes on our list. And then after all the nominations are in, we will take a vote. And whoever reaches a majority vote of 3 commissioners will then win the appointment. And then right after that happens, our esteemed and honorable county clerk, Linda Stover, will swear that person in. So it's all going to happen right here in the next couple of minutes. So who would like to throw out the first nomination? I thought Commissioner Barbeau would like that. Go ahead, Commissioner Barboa.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Again, I just want to reiterate that I'm so pleased, and I want all that are watching to know and spread the word that the International District in Southeast Albuquerque is abundant in amazing leaders ready to serve. I must, because I've lived here my whole life and know many of these candidates personally, I have to speak about 2 people, and I know I can only appoint one, so please sit with me. We are all so committed, and I must attest to Enrique Cardiel. He has been my mentor, teacher, and chosen family since I was 18. That's 33 years. He's helped shape so much of my own political awareness and community identity. He's an incredibly committed public servant for all, and specifically to the people of the International District. There's no doubt in my mind that his leadership currently and always will be alongside our communities, the needs that they identify, and the best interest of all our families across the district and beyond. I have also had the pleasure to work alongside Kay Bunka. We have worked together on language access, paid sick leave, reproductive justice, and more. I've seen her be gentle enough to work with the care needed to serve people in domestic violence situations, and the strength and power to fight for the visibility and the rights of refugee and immigrant families. And it would not dismiss me that Kay would be the first Asian American woman in our legislature and add to a growing force of women of color in our legislature. So it is no surprise to me that as of 3 p.m. today, Enrique received 285 unique and personal emails, and Kay received 242, and they continue to come in. So this has been a definitely complex and interesting decision, and we can only have one person with this appointment. And core to my values and part of my lifelong work has been to clear a path and lift the leadership of Black, Indigenous, women of color, immigrant, queer, trans, and gender nonconforming individuals. And I am committed to saving House District 19 from erasure through redistricting. While it's been a difficult decision, I am thankful to have the opportunity to nominate Kay Bunka today.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, thank you. A nomination and a second for Kay Bunka. Continuing on that, Commissioner Barboa, because Enrique Cardiel had gotten so much support, I would like to put my nomination for Enrique Cardiel, and I'd like to give a few of the reasons that I would like to nominate him. First of all, I first found out about him from Facebook. Somehow we got to be Facebook friends, I think because we both are public health people. And so I've seen his work in the community. I've seen the community gardens. I've seen his artwork. I found out that he plays the accordion, which was my first instrument. So I think that having somebody who's an artist and a musician and a gardener and somebody who just seems so loved by the community is a good leader. And so there were other things. When I looked at his resume, I was so impressed. So much great experience, and I noticed that he's a veteran of the United States Navy. So many things that I wasn't even expecting to see. Just blew me away. I get the sense from the emails And yes, there were 485 of them. They were very genuine and heartfelt. And I just get the sense that he's a very ethical, smart, genuine, compassionate person. And that yeah, he just lives his passion. And I know focuses on the strength of the community. And I think that's really important for the International District. It's such a great community. And I think it's important to focus on the strengths instead of looking at the problems. So I will cast my nomination for Enrique Cardiel. And do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Commissioner O'Malley. So Enrique is next on the list. Commissioner Casada.
Thank you, Madam Chair. You know, I also had the privilege to speak one-on-one with many of the candidates. You know, after long conversations with Mr. Montoya, you know, I felt that we saw eye to eye on a lot of the policy changes and needs. And we talked, you know, extensively on what we felt, you know, responsible gun ownership was. As you know, in the state of New Mexico, we have a high murder rate. We have a high rate of irresponsible gun ownership. And, you know, it's something that me and him were the only out of the other candidates that had really felt that that was a priority moving forward, because they all touched on all the same things when it came to behavioral health, you know, economic growth. Everybody had a lot of those things in common. But I think that we find ourselves in a place where, you know, we really need to look at policy on the state level when we're looking at different aspects of gun ownership. And so with that, you know, I think that's a great thing for me. It's a priority that, as you know, me and Commissioner Talbert put stuff forward because we both felt, and one was a Republican and one was a Democrat who put that resolution forward, because we both feel that this is something that cannot be pushed to the side anymore, but that really needs to be a priority. And so with that being said, I would really like to nominate David Montoya.
Okay, is there a second? I'll go ahead and second your nomination. So David Montoya is on the list. Are there any other nominations? Commissioner Casada, did you have your hand up again? No, okay. Any other nominations? I'd actually like to make, I know Commissioner Barboa, you said that there could only be one, but I know last time we had multiple nominations. I would like to nominate Jenny Lusk. I have talked to her. I listened to a forum that was on, and I know that she has a wealth of experience. And I know that she cares deeply about the community, about our state, about, it seems like just humanity in general. So I cast a nomination for Jenny Lusk.
Second.
Can I get a second?
Second.
Thank you, Commissioner O'Malley. Okay. And any other nominations? Okay, I'd like to keep going then. I'd like to nominate Tiffany Stevens because Tiffany has gotten a lot of support. She had many emails and people reaching out. So I know that she's done a lot of work in the community and has just been kind of a hard worker out there. So I would like to just put her name on the list. So can I get a second for the nomination for Tiffany Stevens?
Second.
Thank you, Commissioner O'Malley. And Commissioner Barboa.
Yes, thank you. And yes, it's I wanted to nominate Janelle Nunornu. I think I was so impressed and thankful to get to meet her, learn about her leadership. She has excellent ideas. She's a strong, amazing person that's really committed and showing her strength in this district. So I'm thankful that she entered this race and that she's willing to fight for our district. I want to nominate her.
I'm going to go ahead and second that because the times I've spoken with Janelle, she is just full of energy and passion and optimism and just such a great positive attitude. And Janelle, I hope that you just keep going in leadership, in, you know, wherever the political realm takes you, wherever public service takes you. I think you're just fantastic. So I will add your name to the list of nominations. Okay. Any other nominations? Okay. In that case, we will go to voting. And so the first person nominated was Kay Bonku. And so all in favor of appointing Kay, please raise your hand. Okay. And Madam Clerk, please call the roll. Unmute yourself and call the roll.
Commissioner Barboa.
Aye.
Commissioner O'Malley.
Aye.
Commissioner Casada.
Aye.
Madam Chair Piscotti.
And so that passes unanimously. Commissioner Benson is excused today. That passes unanimously 4-0. So Kay Bunka, you have just been appointed by the Bernalillo County Commission as the next representative of House District 19. Congratulations. Would you like to unmute yourself and say something?
Oh my gosh, thank you so much to everyone and all the amazing candidates. I'm truly just so honored and humbled. I want to thank everybody who showed me what it is to lead. There's been so many in our communities who do this, as everyone said, day in, day out for no recognition. I want to thank so much to my family who holds down the fort so I can do the work, and my little girl who teaches me every day what it is to show up for her and to show up for other people. The organizations that came out in force, the communities that came out in force, the temples, the grocery stores, all the folks who said, yes, we need this. And it's been incredible. And really, for those who believe in something bigger, a new voice that's grounded in lived experiences and shared values, this is an opportunity for us to kick open the doors so we'll never again be the only or the first, but really to prove instead that we're gonna do this together and we can do it together and we'll all be together in this place. So just so much thank yous and just big, yeah, thanks to New Mexico, who believed in an Asian American woman. I never thought I'd see this day. I never thought I would be that person, but I'm so filled with gratitude. Thank you for seeing this community. Thank you for believing in this community.
Thank you so much, Representative. And so after we adjourn, we will move into the swearing in of Kay. So please stay on the Zoom call to watch the swearing in by Clerk Linda Stover. I think any of us who has been appointed or elected, when we take that oath of office, it's transformational. And I'm sure I speak for all of the other elected officials or appointed officials up here that it changes you. It's such a serious thing to take that oath of office. And so I hope you all stick around as we adjourn this meeting and watch that sacred and magic act happen right here, right now. So this meeting is adjourned, but please stay on the Zoom call. Thank you so much. Namaste.
Okay.
I'll have you repeat after me. Would you raise your right hand, please? I, Kay Banuku,
I, Kay Punka,
having been appointed to the office
having been appointed to the office
of State Representative for House District 19
of State Representative for House District 19
in the County of Bernalillo,
in the County of Bernalillo,
State of New Mexico,
State of New Mexico,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution and laws of the State of New Mexico,
the Constitution and the laws of the State of New Mexico,
and faithfully and impartially discharge the duties
and faithfully and
impartially
discharge the duties
of the said office
of the said office
to the best of my ability.
to the best of my ability.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations, Representative. Welcome.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
You're now free to represent.
Congratulations, Representative.
Yeah. Congratulations. Thank you, guys. This was fun.
Hey, we'll be in touch on having you come in and sign.
Okay, thank you.
Sure. Good evening, everyone.
Take care, everybody.